Hey everyone, and welcome back. You watch so many blockbusters that feel like, well, just spectacle. But every now and then, a film comes along that really sticks with you. Today, we're diving into Mardaani 3, a movie that is so much more than your average thriller.
And isn't that just the best feeling? In a world where you can spend a ton of money on a movie ticket and walk out feeling empty, finding a film that actually makes you think, that entertains you, and makes you feel like, yeah, that was worth it, that's a huge win. So yeah, we're talking about Mardaani 3. It stars the absolutely incredible Rani Mukerji. It's produced by the powerhouse Yash Raj Films and directed by Abhiraj Minawala. Now, this is part of a really popular franchise, but trust me, it totally stands on its own as a seriously powerful piece of filmmaking.
All right, so first things first. Let's get into why this movie is just different. It's not your standard action flick, and it breaks the typical Bollywood mold in some really refreshing ways.
Mardaani 3 is just so relentless and fast-paced. And you know what one of its best features is? It completely ditches the formula. There are no random moments where the hero beats up 20 guys and then suddenly bursts into a song and dance number. Nope, this is a tight, female-led action thriller that actually wants you to use your brain.
And right at the heart of it all is Superintendent Shivani Shivaji Roy. The movie literally opens with her undercover, and when things inevitably go wrong, she doesn't hang around waiting for backup. She takes on a whole gang of traffickers all by herself. We're talking about these huge, high-octane fight scenes that you're used to seeing from the biggest male stars, but it's all Rani Mukerji. She is for sure a Lady Singham, a nod to another famous super tough movie cop, but totally reinvented for today.
Okay, but the action, that's really just the tip of the iceberg. Let's get into the film's most powerful message, because it shines a really harsh, really uncomfortable light on how our justice systems actually work.
The entire story kicks off with this very simple but incredibly deep question. Two young girls are abducted, right? But the way the police respond to each case, well, they couldn't be more different.
So, when the ambassador's daughter gets taken, the whole police department goes on high alert. They bring in their absolute best officer, Shivani Roy, to head up the investigation. But for the daughter of a regular, low-level employee, her case file just gets shuffled around from one police station to the next, basically lost in red tape. It's a painful look at a system with two totally different sets of rules.
In this line, it's delivered by Shivani Roy herself after her bosses tell her to just drop the second case. It's this moment of pure, raw frustration that just cuts right to the core of what the film is trying to say, and it makes you, the audience, ask that exact same question.
And this brings us to our next point, which is how the film's critique gets even bigger than just the justice system. It really starts to hold a mirror up to society as a whole.
Listen to this, because it is absolutely chilling. This is what the villain says to justify kidnapping and trafficking young girls. His logic is just so twisted, but it taps into this terrifying idea that the film explores, that the lives of some girls, especially those from poorer backgrounds, are just seen as disposable.
Now, look, Mardaani 3 might not be reinventing the wheel here. It's not the first movie of its kind, but it is a really important part of this bigger, ongoing shift we're seeing in Hindi cinema. It's proof that the industry is finally evolving to show the changing roles and the power of women in India today.
I mean, you've seen it, right? We've had this incredible rise of the heroine for years now in movies like Kahani, Dangal, and so many others, where it's the woman who is the absolute driving force of the story. Mardaani 3 just carries that torch forward beautifully.
Okay, let's switch gears for a second because this is fascinating. For a film that gets so much right, there is one glaring, almost unbelievable mistake that we just have to talk about.
So in a couple of really important scenes that deal with sexual crimes against kids, Rani Mukerji's character threatens to charge the bad guys under the POCSO Act. Now listen closely to how she says it. POSCO.
Here's the thing. There's no such thing as the POSCO Act. The actual law is the POCSO Act, that's POCSO, which stands for the Protection of Children from Sexual Offenses Act. It is an absolutely critical piece of legislation, and the movie gets the acronym wrong. It might sound like a small detail, but for a massive studio like Yash Raj Films, making a movie about this specific topic, that's a really surprising error. You'd think that's a fundamental detail they'd get right.
But let's put that small mistake aside for a second, because it's nothing compared to the chilling way the film's bigger ideas bleed right off the screen and into our own world.
The things we see in Mardaani 3 are horrifying, right? This whole network kidnapping girls for medical experiments, it's shocking. But as the film reminds us, sometimes what happens in real life is so much worse.
The film's plot just feels eerily similar to real-world events, like all the discussions surrounding the Epstein files, where you have incredibly powerful people implicated in these huge networks of abuse. And in those real-life cases, justice is so slow and accountability is so rare. There's this silence. And the most tragic part? In real life, there's no lone hero like Shivani Shivaji Roy who's going to swoop in and make everything right.
So, at the end of the day, Mardaani 3 is definitely an entertaining movie. It will not bore you for a single second. But its real power is that it doesn't just let you go when the credits roll. It leaves you with something more. A little spark of hope that maybe, just maybe, things could be different.
And that's really the final question the film leaves you with. It suggests that even inside a broken system, the belief that you can make a change, the will to fight for what's right, still exists. And it just makes you wonder, are there enough of those people out there to actually make a real difference? Now that's something we're thinking about.